a high-profile Hollywood legal battle has taken an unexpected turn, raising questions about jurisdiction, accountability, and the complicated pathways victims face when reporting abuse. The sexual battery lawsuit filed against Fast and Furious star Vin Diesel by his former assistant, Asta Jonasson, has been dismissed by a Los Angeles judge, not because the claims were proven false, but because of where the alleged incident took place. The ruling emphasized geography, not guilt or innocence, and that distinction is at the center of the controversy. According to Judge Daniel N. Crowley, the alleged incident occurred in Atlanta, Georgia in 2010 during the filming of Fast 5. As a result, California law cannot be used to prosecute or evaluate what happened in another state, unless clearly permitted. That legal line is what ultimately halted Jonasson's claims in California, leaving many wondering whether this is justice denied or simply an application of the law as it stands. Attorney Matthew Hale, representing Jonasson, insists the decision is far from closure. He argues that the ruling ignored the substance of the accusations, focusing entirely on jurisdiction. Hale says his client intends to appeal, signaling that the legal fight is likely far from over. He stressed that the court did not rule on whether the allegations were true. It merely stated that California statutes cannot extend to alleged events that occurred in Georgia. Meanwhile, the defense celebrated the outcome, claiming the lawsuit was meritless from the start. Vin Diesel's legal team maintains that the accusations are completely false and emphasizes the time gap of nearly 15 years between the alleged incident and the lawsuit. But while the ruling brings relief to Diesel's side, it raises concerns for advocates who believe survivors should be able to come forward regardless of where abuse occurs, especially when they are hired and employed by companies based in another state. According to court documents, Jonasson alleged that Diesel assaulted her after a night of clubbing during production in Atlanta. She claimed she tried to escape, saying no repeatedly, but was overpowered by Diesel, who she described as using both his physical strength and his authority as her employer. A few hours later, she alleged she was fired by the actor's sister and production partner, Samantha Vincent, for resisting Diesel's advances. Her lawsuit positioned the termination as retaliation and an attempt to protect Diesel and cover up the alleged assault. The filing was brought under California's Sexual Abuse and Cover-Up Accountability Act, a law created to remove time-barred limitations in certain assault cases. However, Judge Crowley ruled that the law cannot be applied to events outside California, even if both parties live and work in the state. This legal loophole ultimately became the deciding factor, preventing Jonasson's claims from going to trial in California. The dismissal follows a prior ruling in June, when 4 other claims by Jonasson were tossed out due to statute of limitations issues under California workplace laws. Together, the rulings effectively blocked all 10 claims from proceeding in California courts. Diesel's defense argued that if Jonasson believes a crime took place, it should be addressed under Georgia state law, not California's. Jonasson's attorney countered by insisting the case still belongs in California because she was hired in Los Angeles by Diesel's production company and returned there after filming. Despite those connections, the judge sided with the defense, stating that California law cannot govern conduct outside its borders. Whether this is simply a strict interpretation of legal boundaries or a setback in protecting victims remains a matter of debate. For now, the court considers the matter resolved, but the possibility of an appeal could reopen the case, prolonging a dispute that continues to blur the lines between law, geography, and accountability. As the legal dust settles, the dismissal raises wider questions about how jurisdiction shapes justice. Can a survivor seek accountability in their home state if the alleged abuse took place elsewhere? And should laws designed to help victims overcome barriers, such as expired statutes of limitation, apply beyond state borders? Advocates for survivors argue that the modern entertainment industry blurs geographic lines, with productions moving between states, while employment ties and power structures remain anchored in Hollywood. In this case, Jonasson was hired in California, employed by a California-based company, and later returned to California after filming. To her legal team, that makes the Golden State responsible for ensuring accountability. The court, however, focused on location alone, the physical place where the alleged assault occurred. This forces a larger conversation about whether current laws are equipped to handle allegations that cross state lines, especially in industries where work frequently moves from one city to another. Vin Diesel's lawyers maintain this case should never have reached California at all. They argue that Jonasson's delay in filing makes the allegations difficult to verify and unfair to defend against after 15 years. Yet others point out that many survivors take years, sometimes decades, to come forward due to fear, trauma, and power imbalances, especially when the accused is a globally recognized actor. While the court didn't address credibility, Diesel's legal team repeatedly emphasized that he categorically denies the allegations. This denial, combined with the lengthy passage of time, places public perception in a complicated position. Without a trial, no evidence is tested, no witnesses are questioned, and no decision is made about what truly happened in that Atlanta hotel room. What remains is not a conclusion, but a vacuum, one filled with legal arguments, unanswered questions, and competing narratives that leave both supporters and skeptics unsettled. For Jonasson, the next step is the appeals process. Her attorney plans to challenge the ruling on the grounds that the court failed to consider the broader employment context tied to California. If a higher court agrees, it could potentially reopen the case and set a new legal precedent. That possibility may strike fear into major production companies, where decisions and hiring often originate in California, even when filming takes place elsewhere. If laws begin to adapt to the realities of nationwide work, companies may face increased liability across state borders. On the other hand, if the dismissal stands, it solidifies a boundary that limits how far California's victim protection laws can reach. Either outcome could reshape how workplace sexual misconduct cases are pursued in the entertainment industry, underscoring the stakes, not only for Jonasson and Diesel, but for Hollywood as a whole. Public opinion is already divided. Some argue that dismissing the lawsuit on technical grounds undermines efforts to fight abuse within industries where power dynamics overshadow vulnerability. Others believe that expanding California's jurisdiction could lead to unpredictable legal consequences and potentially invite false or unprovable claims from decades past. Meanwhile, survivors' advocates say the focus should not be on when or where the allegations occurred, but on whether abuse took place. Their concern is that legal loopholes may discourage victims from coming forward, especially if laws fail to accommodate the complexities of modern employment. Hollywood has witnessed multiple reckoning moments over the past decade, from the rise of the Me Too movement to increased calls for transparency. Yet this ruling suggests that even with evolving conversations, the system still struggles to accommodate the realities of power, trauma, and accountability within high-profile workplaces. As it stands, Vin Diesel walks away from the lawsuit without a trial and without a legal determination on the allegations made against him. His team claims victory, and the judge's decision brings the case to a halt, for now. But with a pending appeal and unresolved questions about jurisdiction, this may only be a temporary pause. The case highlights a conflict between legislative intent and procedural limits, between legal boundaries and moral expectations. Ultimately, the pursuit of justice may depend not solely on what happened in one hotel room in 2010, but on whether the legal system evolves to address industries without borders. Whether this case fades quietly or becomes a catalyst for change will depend on what unfolds next in the courtroom. For now, the story remains unfinished, and the eyes of the entertainment world wait for what comes next.